Hi, and welcome back to your grammar tutorials. Today we are going to talk about the verb ser, which we have been learning in class, and we are also going to talk about different verb categories. So we're going to talk about the verb ser, and we'll also talk a little bit about what it means for different verb categories to exist. We learned when we were talking about personal pronouns that these personal pronouns have singularity, plurality, and they also have a personhood, right? Either that be first, second, or third person. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to go back and rewatch the video on personal pronouns. We always want to ask ourselves in that kind of a situation, who is the speaker? Remember when we did our video on infinitives that we had a twofold test to see whether a verb was still in the infinitive or whether it was conjugated. And that is, one, who is the speaker, and two, where are we in time? That is to say, what tense are we in? Currently, we are learning the present tense. That is to say, we are in the present time. And it is important to see within the present tense that in Spanish, there are 4 different categories of verbs that exist in the present tense. So we have 4 categories of verbs for the present tense. And what does that mean? Why do we put them into categories? Basically what that means is that each category in Spanish will follow a specific pattern. That is to say, unlike in English, where verb conjugation is a little all over the place, in Spanish, verb conjugation follows very formulaic and simplistic patterns. So it will always follow certain patterns. They put them into categories based on if they all follow similar patterns. So we have first, regular verbs, meaning that these verbs follow a regular pattern. Then we have irregular first-person singular verbs. That is to say, these verbs are irregular in only one form, and that is the yo. So all the verbs in this category will only be irregular in the first person. In this one, we have irregular stem changing. That is to say, all of these verbs change in the stem. And then we have just plain irregulars, meaning that since they are used so often, they have mutated in form and kind of developed their own singular pattern. There will be many examples of irregulars, and it is a verb that we are currently learning, and it is ser. Ser falls under the category of irregular verbs because in the present tense, it doesn't follow any type of pattern or system. It is kind of a unit unto itself. We will remember when we were doing personal pronouns that we made a little chart. When we were doing personal pronouns, we made a chart that put all of our personal pronouns together, and we put all of our singular ones in one column, all of our plurals in another column, and then we put all of our first persons in one row. We put all of our second persons in another row, and all of our third persons in another. I'm sure that you remember exactly what pronoun goes with each, so I don't even have to tell you, but I'm going to write them down just so that we can visualize it. So each personal pronoun will go here. We have yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, o nosotras, vosotros, or vosotras. And then we have ellos, ellas, and ustedes. So now we can put our verb right next to the personal pronoun. this can be a little confusing because when we've learned these, sometimes people feel like they can substitute a personal pronoun for the verb. But this personal pronoun is really just talking about who is speaking. It's not conjugating the verb in any way, shape, or form. So if we want to conjugate ser, we will remember that it's an irregular verb, so it will follow its own pattern. So we just kind of need to memorize how it goes. And it will look like this. Yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, usted es, nosotros somos, vosotros sois, ellos son. These are irregular because unlike regular AR, ER, or IR verbs, which we will learn in other chapters and in the very near future, it does not follow any type of systematic pattern. So there's no root word off of which to base the pattern. It's just kind of follows its own thing. So this kind of a verb is something that you just have to memorize in your own time. Now that we have learned about how to conjugate ser, what I would like for you to do is write on a note card, and on the front of the note card, I would like for you to conjugate the verb ser. On the back of the note card, I would like for you to write one sentence using ser in an appropriate way. I've written an example for you here, and I would like for you to write on that note card and then bring it to class. When you get to class, pop it on the cork board, right underneath your name, and I will check it when I have time. And as always, be prepared to share just in case I decide to call on you. Thanks, and I will see you in class.